this here was just an idea based on a post I saw on Twitter where there was this knight, this lancer, fully armored with these boots or greaves, I don't know, that resembled this kind of goat legs. And this here was my first quick sketch. It's not so different from the others, but the point is, when I did the heavy boots, I felt like it didn't fit the whole drawing, because if you look around, she looks a little bit more delicate. Even the lens that I sketched, it has a more delicate design. And what makes this feel delicate? It is a combination of, first, sharp shapes and slim shapes. It's a great design trick. Whenever you want to make something that feels delicate, you go for sharp and slim, or only slim, because anything that is thick, that is large, feels more brutish, more heavy. And this was the sentiment that I had with these boots. It felt heavy, and maybe if she was fully armored with a heavy lens, these boots would work well. But since her overall design was more inclined to this kind of sharp shapes that resemble leaves and petals, this didn't fit quite well. So I decided to redo it and make a new attempt. So what I did here was I sharpened the overall shape. You can see here that we have a more triangular structure instead of this blocky structure overall. But I also sharpened the roundness and the squarishness on the shapes around. You can see that everything is rounded and larger here, but here it is not only narrower, but I put a lot of more sharp shapes all around. And this is one thing that you want to think about when you're designing. What is the idea that I want to communicate? Because we have three main ways of communicating, and the rest is just a combination of those. Maybe we have sharpness, we have roundness, and we have flatness. Now pay attention that I'm not talking about triangles and circles and squares. That is what we usually learn. We learn that triangles communicate danger and stuff like this, and circles communicate kindness, and squares communicate seriousness. But I never quite grasped the idea of shape design using those. I had to make up my own way of seeing stuff, so I came up with these qualities for each feature. We have sharp. Sharp is everything that communicates danger, for example, or speed, and etc. I will not be thinking a lot. Round is everything that communicates softness, flexibility, and the list goes on. And flat communicates best the ideas of resistance or stability, for example. But here I'm not choosing only shapes, but I'm also choosing proportions. When you do a large object, it conveys heaviness because big stuff weighs a ton. And when you do something that is thin, you communicate some kind of lightness, more fluidity, for example. And this is what I was thinking about. I saw this character more like a gracious, quick, flexible, agile kind of character, instead of the original idea of some heavy lancer that would have a big old lance here, so she could fight heavily and be super resistant, but instead something more delicate, more gracious. So when I think of delicate, gracious, quick, I think of sharp, I think of round and flexible. So this is the combination that I've made. And I think of thin, something that is not too large and can move quickly, but I still wanted some aspect of resistance. So that's why I have those really refined shapes, and this is a quality of flatness in a way. Although I don't have flatness being expressed here, I have this quality of something that is really refined and stable instead of wiggly changing. I don't have this. I have this all around, and this is the trick for hard surface most of the times. And this is the kind of stuff that makes a lot of changes with just implementation. You don't need to study a lot and do a lot of practices. You just need to change a little bit how you think about the subject, and you are basically ready to apply, and this makes a big difference in your art. So just try this. Whenever you're designing a character, even if you're designing body parts, you can make this kind of changes on shape and proportions and see actual difference happening in whatever you choose to draw, and get more quality out of your art without necessarily having to grind your skills. And this is my favorite kind of change in art, when you change quality without having to spend a lot of time and effort. And I'll bring more of this. I like to talk about character design and what shapes and colors and composition express what story this kind of choices tell. And I hope you like too, because it's really impactful, and I feel like this is something that should be talked about a lot more.